Thank you, Sergeant. Any questions or comments from the council? Okay, I actually have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have noticed that e-bikes now go faster than the speed limit.
Yes, sir.
Way faster. To the point where you're trying to stay under the radar gun and not get in trouble, and they're literally passing you, and they're on sidewalks going that fast. Is there any talk going on right now about what to do?
So I know as the sheriff's office, we just issued 500 cards every deputy with like the stipulations, because most of those probably aren't legal based on classification. There's different classifications of e-bikes, and most of them that go that fast definitely are not legal and should be stopped by deputies out here. And we are actually in the process of educating our deputies better about the newer laws, because the laws are kind of catching up to bikes per se. It used to be kind of like if it's electric, it doesn't follow, but now there is actually laws in place for most of those. And now we're in the process of educating the deputies, so they start enforcing those more.
You know, it seems like they're going so fast now, they should actually have license plates on them.
Actually, a lot of those ones that go that fast, per statute, need to be registered. There's no way to register them, so they're illegal. Most of them that go that fast, the private ones you're talking about.
Gotcha.
So there's like class speed limit classification. I don't think an exception from it. But the ones that are going faster than speed limit that are most likely aren't legal and should be stopped. And there's more education on the deputies.
Does it make sense whenever you see somebody on the sidewalk doing 45, maybe you should dial 911?
Yes, and that should be stopped. That's not safe for pedestrians or the person on the e-bike at that point, because you shouldn't be going up and down curves and bumps going that fast on anything, much less it's not legal. So.
Okay, all right. Thanks for answering my questions. Any other questions for the
On that note, they've been running up and down the walking path of the Causeway Bridge, not the bike path, the e-bikes. And like you said, I don't know what kind of speed, but it's a fast speed. They keep up with the cars. I mean, and it's scaring the hell out of some of our residents trying to walk. Just have a night out walking.
Vice Mayor Rover?
Yeah, on that topic, I think it's almost worse sometimes on the beach when you have toddlers out there. And really nobody's expecting to see an e-bike coming by, 30, 40 miles an hour. And they're so quiet, you literally do not hear them. And a toddler runs out there. I hate to think what could happen. I don't know what the solution is. I hate to bring up a problem with no solution, but it's very dangerous to see those bikes go by with the little kids on the beach.
And obviously it's my first day here, so I'm not sure how much we have like placards and everything we had made recently that I think distributed all deputies, and they should be starting to enforce that stuff. So if anything, I can just make sure the deputies here are all well educated on that as well and pass it along. So hopefully, if they're not enforcing, I hope they are, but if they're not, when they see it, they'll start enforcing it.
I know it's your first day, but we'll give you till tomorrow.
That sounds good. I hope.
No one gets an easy question on their first day.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, any other questions or comments for Sergeant Schuler? No? Thank you very much, Sergeant. I appreciate you being here. Look forward to working with you.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Next up, Deputy Trump. Hello, Deputy. How you doing?
How are you, sir?
Good.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deputy Trump with the Dulles County Sheriff's Office, and I do code enforcement for the city of Bel Air Beach. It's been a busy month all around, but for the most part, we've had a good month as far as compliance and everything. Pretty much like it was last month. I mean, most of it is trying to chase around ground cover and long grass and everything else and trying to get compliance. And just a lot of people cutting the grass and trimming their yards, and where we're still running into the problem that some of these houses are still vacant and we're having a little bit harder time. But as we are tagging them and getting a hold of these residents, and we're striving to them, please, get a lawn service and get everything, on a regular basis, get it cut down. And we're starting to see a lot more compliance with that, people understanding that they're doing that. So basically, for this last month, I had 40 new cases, as you can see in your charts, and all the notes and everything else that you're probably better off just reading on a Sunday morning or something like that, because there's a lot of notes in there. A lot of this also has to do with, it may not sound like a whole lot of stops, but you have to understand we did close 32 cases so far. I actually closed a few more this this last couple of days, which are reflected on this one. And I had 58 follow-ups. So with that, we're, just trying to mainly do that. We're still doing a lot of permit checks on places that are being built and making sure that they are in compliance with the permits. We did find one that they were starting a seawall project and they did not have any permits or anything else. And I also work in conjunction with the county on that. So if we find something like that, we also get a hold of our county investigators, and they will come out, they back up, and they investigate the companies. They put immediate fines on them, and they help back us up out here dramatically. So that helps a lot. So we haven't had too many of those right now. So just a few environmental places. We're trying to keep the construction places cleaned up. Some of the places where they're building new homes and making sure that they have proper dumpsters and that they're trying to clean up. So we're trying to follow up that. There's just a lot of follow-up to do on this. So, any questions?
Councilman? Yes, Mr. Baker.
I really appreciate you addressing that vessel out by our window that's sinking. I'm starting to worry about this is going to become the Dunedin Edgewater Road where people say, hey, I can't sell my boat, so I'm just going to park it here in the Bel Air Beach area. Is there anything, I mean, this is probably the wrong area. This is no reflection on you. All right. Anything we can do?
The problem that you have is that nobody owns the farm, and it depends if they own the bottom rights or not, and that has to do with the landlines of the city and everything else. But if it's basically county or state bottom land, and technically nobody owns the water, so they're not committing anything illegal by being out there and being angry. They are between FWC, between the Coast Guard, between the Sheriff's Office, they are making many checks on this. I know it's been brought up before as far as there's a sailboat out here that never moves, and is it dumping overboard or however. I know that they told me, because we inquired about that, they said the Coast Guard has boarded that boat twice and made sure it was in compliance, and they haven't found any violations on it or anything at this point. So that is actually the second time that boat has been addressed. They started a case on it, meaning a derelict case on it, a little over a month ago. The owner went out there, he brought the boat back into compliance, more or less, because they worked with him a little bit because they actually saw that he had the engines out of it, and they were allowing him a little bit of time because he said, I just needed to get the engines done, I'll put the engines back in, and we'll be out of here. Well, then it started to sink. So now it is sunk, it's sitting on the bottom, they're well aware of it, and they do have it tagged for as a derelict vessel, so it comes back into compliance within those 30 days, or they'll schedule it to be removed.
Thank you.
So they're working on it.
On that topic.
One second. On that particular boat, is it already tagged for removal, or is it still on the watch list?
Well, it is tagged as a derelict vessel. So with that process, which we've mentioned before, they have the owner, they get a hold of the owner, they make sure that he has a citation. He has 30 days to get the boat back in compliance. He'll still be fined, but other than that, after that, then they will remove the boat. They'll schedule it through state funds and everything else to remove the boat and take it out, crush it up, and then they go after the owner again for any fines.
So we've been talking about this boat for a while now. There's a timeline that he does nothing. What is that timeline where, okay, they come get it?
It's roughly 30 days for the actual case itself. After that, it just depends on the funds and being able to schedule the removal of the boat, which
Okay, I'm going to be a little more direct.
can take another 30.
When was the case actually, when does the clock start, or has it already started?
On this one, it's already started. I can bring up the email actually.
Yeah, we talked about this particular vote last month, so 30 days has now passed. So I'm just curious.
Well, again, it's the same thing. It's the second time it's been tagged because he brought it back into compliance and satisfied the sheriff's office once.
Right.
So they've had to re-tag it. Bear with me 1 second, and I will
Obviously, it's a hot button for Bel Air Beach because we're all getting emails daily.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're getting calls.
Oh, I'm sure.
Also.
Is it 111? No, never mind, that's not it.
We're having a computer. So, the new case was initiated on July 26th. July 26th, that's what I got from Sergeant Dion last week.
And it was sunk like 3 weeks before that, so it's
I'm
a
aware.
very slow process.
I'm aware of that, so, and that's what I told them, so, but unfortunately, that apparently is where they started on July 26th, and there's a case number on it, but.
We understand, it's
It is
out of your hands. I'm sorry, before I let you speak, Kim, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, go right ahead.
As we're on the topic of the marine issues, how do you deal with the environmental questions, such as do they have proper sewage capabilities? Are they dumping into the hard waters?
They're not allowed to dump into the waters. So again, like the Coast Guard, just using that other vessel as an example, the Coast Guard has boarded him twice, and everything's locked up in his systems, let me put it that way, have been in compliance. I don't know if he uses that service, but there is a service in Pinellas County that they actually go around with large, and they will pump people's vessels out, obviously for a fee, but it's apparently quite a lucrative business. So I don't know if he uses that service or not, but the Coast Guard's been on his boat twice for a compliance check, and they said everything is checked out.
So if someone doesn't have a proper holding tank for black water, is there an assumption that they're dumping, or how is that dealt with?
Well, again, if they don't have proper holding tanks, they have to have a holding tank on the boat in order to, deal with any type of toiletries or black water. So it has to have, by law, it would have to have some type of holding tank.
Okay, good.
So, just
Mr. Arbor?
I was just trying to put the timeline in my head, so the citation or the case was opened on July 26th, you said?
that's what he said.
Which means the 30 days would be August 26th. So we're saying that August 26th would be the point where they would talk about scheduling the move.
Yes.
So it could be October,
If he has not raised the boat and brought it back into compliance, they will schedule it forward.
but that could be a couple months.
Or never?
It's usually not that, usually I would say another, 14 days to 21 days possibly. It depends on the removal service, because they contract that out. And also depends on funds with, they have to get funds from the state and through the county in order to have it. But usually the removals have been going pretty well, so I wouldn't say another couple of months, no. But I will keep up with that with Sergeant Viano, so he knows it's a hot topic.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions or comments for the deputy? No? Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you being here. And by the way, thank you for working diligently to make Bel Air Beach home again.
Thank you. We're trying, sir.
Officer Trump, can I make one more comment? I really want to compliment the report. I really like the new format of the report and the details that are provided.
It's working well.
So thank you very much.
Kyle and I'm sorry, I apologize. The city manager and I were still taking a few bugs out of it once in a while, but it seems to be working pretty well. And it does provide you, again, with a lot of reading. But if you sit down and read it, you'll see all the notes now and all the follow-ups that have been done on the cases. So it gives you a lot of information that you can now see of what's actually going on in these cases. So I like it too. It's been pretty beneficial.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Deputy. All right, next up is a presentation from the Pinellas Suncoast Fire and Rescue District. Chief Grimes, welcome, sir.
Hi, welcome. Regards from my commission as well. We had a month where we had 16 emergency calls at Bel Air Beach. 4 of those were fire and 12 of those were EMS. When I say fire, they're minor fire incidents. No major incidents that I would have to report.
You say 12 for EMS?
12 EMS.
So you gave me 15 to begin with, or?
Correct, 15 total calls.
Okay, so one of them.
Is that right? 16 total calls. sorry, 16
Okay.
total calls, 4 fire and 12 EMS.
All right.
Yes. So our commission, again, sends their regards. They're very engaged. Our firefighters are trying to stay cool in the summer. If you were driving here and you were coming up from Indian Rocks Beach, we've got Indian Rocks Beach closed, and it's been closed all afternoon. Indian Rocks Beach. Gulf Boulevard closed. 15th Avenue, there's a gas leak there. But it's a good opportunity to see out in the heat, in the sun, the guys are in their gear and they're having to stand by while the gas company tries to make that repair. A contractor hit a gas line there. But, the fire calls, and when these gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen are called into action, it really is a monumental task for them to perform. So, like I said, 12 EMS calls. Our trucks are in great shape. We're fully staffed. We've got no real personnel issues. From a capital or a station standpoint, we actually go tomorrow or this week to get our final approval for our mainland station. It breaks ground in September, which is awesome. And that was my number one focus when I started. We've been moving to a temporary location, which is over by the Timeout restaurant in Oakhurst. So they moved into an old doctor's office, so we're going to be in that, operating as a fire station temporarily for the next probably about 12 months. Turns our focus to the north, to this area. I did have a meeting with the county recently where we discussed our mutual coverage of this area, the Bel Airs and the north side of Indian Rocks Beach. And it's a known problem from the county, from an EMS and fire perspective, that there's no way to meet appropriate response times for medical or for fire. And so I met with EMS and we're the fire district, and now we're, by charter, are empowered to fix the fire problem, and we're going to do that. That's my number one focus now, is how do we fix the response time challenges, in this area. And so we, as we mentioned before, we bought a property on the north side of Indian Rocks Beach, and we'll construct the station, at some point. But right now, we're trying to all figure out how we fix that together. I've asked them from an EMS perspective, because I'm willing to put the vehicle up here, the people on the vehicle. I've asked them if they want to participate in fix the EMS problem, response time problem. So more to follow on that as we meet with them. I proposed, and I just talked to the mayor and the city manager about it, a summit of all the cities. We serve four cities that are fire district. Your fire department serves 4 different cities. So I'm wanting to put together a summit where we can actually get together and talk in more detail about the service that we provide. For example, we're just coming into hurricane season, and our hurricane plan is refined, and they've done an amazing job based on last year, what we learned from last year. So we've got a very comprehensive plan for pre-post hurricane recovery. We're working with the Sheriff's Department, actually countywide, on search and rescue and high water response capabilities and those kinds of things. And so there's obviously more than EMS and fire to it. So I'm proposing this summit, and we'll get an invite out. We're going to do one, like each mayor and the city manager and one of our commissioners, and therefore we won't have a publicly noticed meeting. We'll have one representative of each city. So that's this north station. The Indian Rocks Beach station, we still are mitigating like everybody else post-storm. So we finally feel like we're making some progress on mitigating. Our first floor of that station is basically unoccupiable. So we're working on getting that prepared. So any questions?
Council, any questions? Very excited to hear about the groundbreaking next month. That's very cool. I can't wait to see it in action, and looking forward for the better coverage. I appreciate you being here this evening, and I'm sure that the city manager and I will we'll get together and we'll try to come up with a date where we have our little meeting and we invite the public, okay?
Okay, the temporary location of here. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, now we are up to City Attorney Report. Mr. Trask, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been working with the city manager on a couple of different items. I just want to tell you about those. First of all, just finished drafting a temporary construction easement for the properties located at 115 and 125 18th Street. That's for the purpose of getting access for 18th Street outfall. I have provided those documents to the city manager. He may be able to update you as to whether or not they've been signed yet. Been working on lot line adjustment issues for the property on Donato Drive. Okay, thank you, appreciate that. So working on the lot line adjustment issue for the property on Donato Drive. Also, I've recently provided to you by email the draft synthetic turf regulations that FDEP is discussing. There's not a whole lot of meat there, and it's kind of disjointed the way it is currently prepared, but I did provide you the current draft that I have been provided with. And lastly, I just want to let you know that Kyle and I are working on some code enforcement matters to make sure that those code enforcement cases continue to move forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything else that we're working on.
Council, any questions for the city attorney?
Where were you at on the letter to Bel Air Shores and the gate accesses?
So I think that where it was left off is that the city manager was going to confirm that the gates were actually locked. I know the council member has mentioned that there was going to be a follow-up by the city manager. I'm not sure if that has been accomplished yet, but I have not sent out a letter. So, Kyle?
So to my knowledge, they were locked, and then after we had a meeting, they haven't been locked since.
The locks are still attached to the frames.
Yes.
So are we going to proceed with a letter to them telling them our interests are not to lock those gates ever?
So that if you want us to continue, we can do that, but I'm not sure, what kind of teeth you want to put into it because of the fact that it was something that happened in the past, and I assume it's not going to happen in the future, but I am aware of the lawsuit that has been threatened. I will tell you, our law firm is going to be the law firm that will be handling that litigation, and actually with Bel Air Shore as our client. As you know, we represent Florida League of Cities and the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, and so we are the panel attorneys for this area, and so they have received notice of that possible claim. But there has been no lawsuit actually filed that I'm aware of as of this date. I wanted to let you know that we will be handling the file.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There hasn't been a lawsuit filed, and I hope there isn't a lawsuit filed, but I think we should put on the record, create a paper trail, that those gates should not be locked, ever, for any reason, unless the governor gives an order like during COVID. Because they had to lock the island there, for what purpose? To lock them at one point or the other.
It's probably to make sure the people that are driving by that don't have the right to go into it, then they look like it's locked for the purposes of keeping those people out. I'm not sure.
They kept everybody out.
Yeah. Well, it's locked. It's not locked anymore, right?
Well, it's not locked today. It wasn't locked last night, but who knows if it's going to be locked next week. That's my argument.
My take on it is right now, they're not doing anything. I would prefer not to poke the bear because I think that would provoke them to actually lock the gate. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I would say that they probably realized that they made an error by locking that gate, and between the dialogue that we had in our meeting and the dialogue in the letter that they received from Attorney Manzo, they probably don't want to go there. So that would be my stance on it, but the council, this council speaks as a whole, and so I would be willing to entertain everyone's thoughts on that.
Well, as long as there's no current violation, frankly, I would rather spend our limited legal resources on some big ticket items, and that would be the next thing that I would ask about is the status of our negotiations following the demand letter to Arbor.
Well, what's the legal question, or what's the answer to the legal question? Do they have the right to lock their skates?
So I think that, you know, the research that I've done so far, it's their land, they have the right to control it. The city, only the residents of this city on the east side of Gulf Boulevard have the right, a license to use it. So there are certain circumstances, I think, that they have the right to possibly lock the gate. I don't know what those would be at this point, but they do own that land. The city does not own it, they have a license to use it.
Well, it's the only access to the wet sand for residents.
Other than the 4-foot easements that are along each portion of those condos up and down the beach, right?
Well, that would be trespassing.
No, Ms.
What you're talking about, I'm talking about the area of Bel Air Shores from 19th Street south to 28th Street and East Robbins. That's the only way we can get on the beach. So,
There is no easement between First and 98.
Okay, I know that when I did my drive-through with the city manager of the city, I may not be, you know, exactly knowing where all those easements are in relation to the access points. I know that he did show me them all, so.
well, what I'm saying is, there's only 3 access points from First Street to 19th Street. And the wet sand is the public's right to enjoy. And if you lock me out, I don't have that right to enjoyment anymore. And you can't lock me out at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't lock me out anytime.
So that's obviously going to be the legal issue. And I don't necessarily agree that it can't ever be locked. So I understand the position that you have. I understand the arguments that you've made. I've kind of did a little bit of research. I pulled all the documents that Randy has on it. So I know the issues, and I don't necessarily agree. So,
Well, you're saying that you're going to defend Bel Air Shores if there is a suit, right? So you mean you have to abstain from all this, I guess?
there's no conflict at this point. So if there gets to be a conflict, this city needs to move forward against Bel Air Shore, then yes, we would have to step back.
From what? Bel Air Shores or Bel Air Beach?
So that would be a determination made at that time when it's done. I don't know the answer to that question right now.
I mean, you can't represent both parties here. I mean,
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the question is, shall I write the letter or not write the letter? That's,
Well, I'm trying to survey the council, but we keep getting interrupted.
Can I comment? I would agree that if no current violation is taking place, that letter should be postponed. But I would say that we should be on the record that if it happens again, that the letter is triggered.
fair enough. Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir, thank you. First, I'd like to thank Councilmember Banker for bringing it up at the last meeting to make it aware to everyone. But at this point, based on the information that our city manager gave us, that probably based on the discussions we've had and what Councilmember Banker brought up, they are not doing it now. So I am not in favor of writing a letter.
All right, and Councilmember Welling, are you out there? Anders, are you there?
There you go. Yeah, no, it's strange. I'm not able to unmute through the app. But yeah, no, I'm also in favor of postponing any letter until we until there's another incident that requires us to go ahead and send a letter.
All right, thank you very much. I will also add that what I was told by one of the deputies was that they were instructed to open the gate or unlock the gate on that one particular day an hour before sunrise and lock it an hour after sunset. So not that that's going to make it wide open 24/7 like most people would prefer, but it's really not much different than what they were already doing. They were closing the gate every night and they were opening the gate every morning. The only difference is that there was a lock on that one particular day. I'm not defending them, I'm just saying, stating facts. So all things to consider, but right now I think it's the general will of the council not to send a letter. Any other questions or comments?
Can I raise a question? So I understand what you're saying about the gate being open and closed. I think it's more of the lock than it is the gate design. There are a lot of times at 10 o'clock at night, I walk to the beach, I slide the gate open, and I walk to the beach, and I close the gate, and I leave, and I do the exact same reverse. So I don't have a problem with limiting access. It's the locking that is really, I think, the critical conversation here. The other thing that runs into this is the idea that we continue to have these kind of headbutts with Bella Shores. So I would love to hear how we kind of come to a kumbaya between all these issues.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I understand.
It's never going to happen.
I understand.
Never going to happen. All right. Any other questions or comments for the city attorney?
Yes, I had asked, where are we in response to the demand letter to Harbor Contracting?
So I'm not handling that, my partner, Rob Hitchenfelder, a firm is handling it, and he's been working directly with the city manager, so I would ask the city manager to respond to that.
So Harbor Contracting has responded to it, and they're willing to correct each one of those job locations, so we're going to provide them with the instructions to do so. But I'll cover that in the manager report.
Thank you.
All right. Well, speaking of the city manager report, Mr. Riefler, you're up.
Okay, so yeah, I got an update from Gemini Engineering today about Corvallis and the other projects that they're working on, so I'll start with those. We were successful today at the 7th Street check valve that we needed to seal completely around that valve. We had to work around the tanker truck operation that's happening on 7th and 8th Street currently. If residents are not aware, there was a sewer main break in Indian Rocks Beach. Until they fix that break, they have to physically truck all the sewage to the plant using tanker trucks. And those are being lined up on 7th and 8th Street, filled and trucked away. And it's happening all day and all night. I have asked that the staging for multiple trucks, because sometimes there's 4 or 5 trucks, that they try to get away from the residential houses while they're just standing by, because they do produce some noise and they have headlights. The county did select the tanker trucks because they are using the pump on the lift station, which to pump from the lift station instead of bringing in a pump truck is a much quieter operation. So that's why you're seeing it done this way. So anyways, we were working around and we got it down to 4 inches of water, which wasn't quite enough. So Public Works crew were able to get the vacuum truck briefly in there while the county moved their trucks out of the way, suck out the last little bit of water, and then the Public Works were doing a good hydraulic seal around that whole valve. So we have a nice layer of concrete, feel the valve is secured and in place. And from the video camera that was done last week, Gemini has reviewed that the 8th Street pipes, they recommend we do a CIPD lining up those pipes to repair infiltration. I can get more information on how bad that infiltration is. Curious why we didn't do it originally, but at this junction, we feel like those pipes need to be at least repaired and lined so that we make sure the check valve is working correctly on 7th and 8th Street. Part of that is the segment that goes to the 8th Street outfall. That is 12 inches in some areas, 18 in others. So as part of repairing that pipe, we want to make sure that we keep the maximum capacity because it over time with seawall replacement and it had lost the overall circumference of the seawall. So that is pending. Gemini is giving me a proposal to finish the pipe work on 8th Street that will tie into what we did on 7th to have everything function And then we move to the BMP project, which is our larger stormwater project, which each of that project, to start the project, we had to remove 5 of our valves, and all those valves are not working currently. The plan, and I've asked Gemini to start with 9th Street. So they're going to detail out the cutting, repairing, patching instructions for 9th Street specifically. And then what they want to do is provide them to the superintendent, and then have a sit-down meeting follow-up to make sure that he clearly understands what he needs to do. And then if all goes right, it's successful, and then we move on to the next valves. The next, it would either be 12th or 13th, they're connected, or it would be 4th Street. But the idea is that within the next 2 to 3 weeks that we get those valves back in, because they were pulled out to repair the pipes that need to go back so that they prevent the backflow. And then following 18th Street, Attorney Travis talked about the easements. We have 2 easements prepared. I should not have an issue with the one property, but the larger house, which is 125 18th Street, has a lot more room. And I need to set that letter out and find out what the response is going to be from that property. I think that they'll work with us and cooperate. And then the swale, I keep pressing Harbor. I think we have a valve for that swale, but they're not convinced that it's the best valve. And they want to reach out to Richard, who's a lot pro manufacturer again. So I keep telling Barbara, they want to run more modeling. I tell them it's important we need this valve installed. Again, they just want it to be, I guess, the ideal valve for the location. The pump station, we had the pre-bid meeting on last Friday, and we did not have anyone show up. The plan is to put on an addendum this week to provide more information about the pump, possibly extend the deadline by a week. We just want to drum up its interest. We're going to be reaching out to more and more lift station for construction crews. Because we figured that experience is somewhat on the pump setup. It may not be stormwater, but we need to find someone who's done those type of projects and is qualified for the work. So that addendum's going to go out Wednesday. And then just to remind you, other than that Pump Street project, that we're submitting a Resilient Florida grant application to possibly get some funding. But the Gemini is also working on the 22nd Street Bridge, which I mentioned in our budgeting meetings. We have more advanced scouring on that bridge, so they are designing a project during communications with FDOT and drawing up plans to repair the bridge. But they're also going to work on a comparison of cost effectiveness of a repair project versus what we're facing when we have to replace the whole bridge. So that's something that needs to be considered, but that is a larger, obviously, expense to the city. But they also would like to submit a grant application for this bridge project as well, so we're working on that. I think that covers everything. They're working outside of a proposal for a master plan, and we did have that survey on Bay Shore, but I got to push back. The neighbor that built a new house where we were experiencing a lot of that puddling, they had a landscaping crew do some kind of drain in the yard right next to where the puddle was, and it's getting really dry.
Nice.
So they took that on themselves, but it actually is working. So I want to watch it when it rains, pick it up and see if it continues to work. If it is, then maybe we have a survey for Bay Shore, which we're going to have to do some stormwater project on, and some street resurfacing, but maybe we just wait a little longer if we don't even take action on that. I'm going to jump back to my report. So, not too much change in the demolition side, Albany, Florida projects. We did get 6 letters, which I'm going to send this week. And I think that will, a code violation, I'm sure get some action on these. Duke, I did an update there. They met today. I was out working on the valve. They want to call another meeting for design questions on phase 2 on Monday. I told them Monday's fine or sooner. Spectrum, I did get an update. They are scheduled to be done in October with everything they do. The updates that's with Duke. And we're still to do our next planning and zoning board meeting early to the end of August. We have to check on environmental health status. And then I took over the pump station. We're continuing to work with the Park and Recreation Board to plan the 75th anniversary. Aaron Lands and Community Services, he's designing t-shirts that can actually start to look really nice. Excited about that. We're still holding those at 2 tentative dates, which are Saturdays, October 25th and November 15th. And then I updated you through email, but we did get 1 bid in for the 1001 Cedar repair work. The contractor was not qualified, did not meet the minimum qualifications, so technically we did not receive any qualified bids. So that opens it up. Any work that we do decide to do can be awarded to a qualified contractor. But Mayor was talking about earlier, we talked about having a public meeting discussion for that possibility of some kind of temporary station operating from that location. And I don't know if it's too early, but I was proposing we move it August 20th. We actually have a few residents from that area. So.
Okay, all right. So before I go to council for questions and comments on the city manager's report, I just want to do a recap. Did you say that the 7th Street check valve is repaired?
That is in place and sealed.
In place and sealed. All right. Thank you. All right. And then the 8th Street lining, I thought that we actually scoped all of these whenever we were doing the initial, and it wasn't a problem at that time. So I wondered if this is from the storm, that maybe breached it or caused something to break down.
Let me try to go back and pull. I mean, I still have the videos.
Okay.
Keep them all on the server. And then go back to.
For some reason, we didn't think that a liner was needed, and now, I mean, there's no choice in the matter because the thing's leaking all over the place. And then you said that there's still 5 check valves that are not installed at this time.
Yes, it's 9th, 12th, 13th, 4th, and 18th.
Right, and 9th will be your trial balloon to see if you can get them back in?
Yes.
All right. Once that's in, is it possible that they can ramp up their manpower and simultaneously attack the rest of them?
It all depends on the water rules.
Okay.
That's what makes it tricky. So if everything was dry, we would have it done by now.
Okay. All right, and I just wanted to confirm that because there's a lot of people are asking about that. Council?
On the 8th Street,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. On the 8th Street pipes that are leaking, they're leaking at the joints, right?
Again, I didn't get all the information. I'm assuming yes.
There's only so many ways you can install a concrete pipe. It's generally with a neoprene gasket. You slide it in with dope, and you go. Did they even? I looked at the video. I couldn't see if there was a gasket ripped. If there was a gasket at all in there. Those pipes, the mayor saying it was the storms causing the leakage. Those pipes have been leaking before that. Residents have been complaining since early last year about that. But Jim and I were the previous name company. They were the construction manager on this job, or
They're really.
okay. We like really seriously want to consider finding another engineering company because the the shoddy workmanship they did at the other end of the city last year, the valley curves that they allowed, with 8-foot bubble level, throwing side down on pavements and all like that. I don't think they have the construction mentality yet, and I don't know how we're going to line these concrete pipes unless we're going to put in a plastic liner all the way down and just keep shoving it down. If all you're going to do is coat it from the inside and it's water pressure, that's like taking caulk and keeping the water pressure, putting the caulk when the water's coming in this way. Caulk has to be on the outside where the pressure's coming in. So is this going to be another fruitless adventure that we're going to spend a lot of money on? Isn't there a warranty on these? These pipes are only 5 years old. I'm not blaming you, you weren't city manager at the time. But
No, the pipes that need to be replaced are never replaced. Those are old pipes.
so they never replaced them
On A Street, they didn't replace any pipes.
because they dug the whole street up.
They dug that harbor part, and they replaced that part. Because that was a new connection. It connected it in a different way, and moved it to the.
I was on council at the time, and my argument was if you're going to replace pipes, you replace all the pipes. So those pipes are 50 years old.
Or older, again.
Or older. Concrete has a deterioration life of 75 years. All right. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, for asking for those summary questions. That was helpful for me. Regarding 9th Street, what exactly repairs are they going to be making?
They had to cut 2 to 3 inches inside of the concrete to remove the liner so that the valve meets the concrete versus the liner, and the same size valve will fit. But they also have to cut the hole in the liner to enable the valve to get in. So they have to cut that out and then patch that area.
So have we examined the rest of the street to see if there are any problems with this liner and filling up more of the pipe capacity?
They analyzed all the videos that were done after each liner and looked at them and wrote a whole report on it. So they have, and they talked to both manufacturers of those products.
And the conclusion is?
The conclusion is that it's structurally intact. It's hard, and there's no worry of it breaking down. They look at it from movement of water. They weren't concerned with the loss of any kind of capacity of the pipe, only because it's not a pressurized pipe, so it might represent 2 to 3% of the total area of the pipe that's open that is impeded by that hole. It's very little. It wouldn't matter if you were sending pressure through a line, but if it's just grabbing in there, you know.
Is this, when we were talking about the holes in the liner, so is this something like you've got a round pipe, you sprayed some stuff in that was supposed to be round around it, but now it's not, there's something like, so.
It's like a tube that they blast to the inside walls of the pipe, and it hardens.
Right, but if there's an obstruction, so let's say part of it bulges out and shouldn't have been. So there might be water that flows through it, but wouldn't debris and other things perhaps catch on that and start filling the pipe with an obstruction?
Like the fold, it's not like a obstruction that's smooth and it stops to like catch. It's almost like a bubble fold throughout the whole pipe. It's like almost like it's like a rib on that liner that's normally smooth but bubbled up.
It goes the entire street?
It goes most of the liner, yes.
And is the liner in the entire street?
The liner at that point was from that junction box right by Harbor and 9th grade, that intersection, and then out to the outfall. So
It's just the end of the street?
Yes,
And the rest of the street doesn't have a liner?
it didn't anymore.
Okay, so with the check valve that is being put on, it's the one that was used before?
Yes.
And did that work well before?
The valve itself, we thought worked well, but we
the reason it got lined is because we thought the water was getting around the valve into the pipe. So with the liner on the inside of the pipe, they can't get into it.
The pump itself functions correctly?
The valve.
The check valve, yes, excuse me.
So the valve, when it was in, we thought the valve was working correctly. We were cleaning it, maintaining it, but we couldn't explain why it was getting around the valve, other than that the pipe was compromised through the seawall.
Okay. And when you mentioned that Harbor responded favorably, and are they assuming responsibility for the repair, and is that at their cost?
Yes, and then they're, as soon as we give them what we want them, they're going to come and do it.
All right, and so do we have an idea of what the timeline for that is?
I've asked that we provide instructions tomorrow on a follow-up meeting, hopefully within a week, and can get a response to it.
So 7th Street is finished, totally finished,
The valve is finished.
and 8th Street still needs the valve replaced?
So, A Street has old pipes that recommend lining. And it also has a narrow outfall segment that goes to residential property on A Street. It comes out at 12 inches, but there's parts of the pipe that are larger than that. So we feel that when the seawall is done, we got sleeves with a smaller pipe, which can happen when you don't watch what's happening with the contractors doing. Obviously, we don't want to reduce our volume, but that's what we want to do. But now that we're there, we want to get the volume back.
And what's the proposed order of the work?
Which work it out, if you lay out which.
So you have 8th Street, 9th Street, and then you're going to move
Okay.
more.
So as far as those valves that need to go back, the little ones there, I'm going to do 9th Street. And then either it's going to be 4th Street or 12th and 13th. The 12th and 13th are like 7th and 8th where they're connected. So if you do one, you got to do both. It's not going to work.
I'm sorry, where's 8th Street in that?
8th Street we just learned about when we were videoing to find out what's going on with 7th and 8th.
Okay.
So we just learned about that 8th Street needs, lining, needs work out to the outfall. And I've asked Joe and I to draw up and manage that project.
That's a lining, not a check valve, correct?
It's a combination.
We own the valve, we're just going to reinstall it.
Yeah, so we own a 12-inch valve. I'm not sure what we're going to end up with. They need to look into how we can enlarge that pipe.
Do I see Councilmember Wellings, has his hand up?
Oh, did I press the hand up? But anyway, yeah, this is the one you're done next if you're ready. Are you done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Kyle, so on 7th Street, the check valve you put in, glad to hear you were able to get that sealed up. Were you able to test it to see if the check valve was holding okay?
No, that
Or
was
is that going to come at the next high tide or something?
Yeah, that was going to analyze tomorrow.
Okay.
I got into
All right.
that. I think we can still check it if I look at the tides around the trucks, and we should be able to tell. I got to confirm with Wind River that they definitely don't have plug install on the other outfall.
Right, okay, so that's what I'm going to ask next. So on 8th, until we finish, or until we work on the lining, and, both on from outside the front of my house up to Frank's and those outfalls, that's where you're going to put the new liner in. And I get the impression, so there you're going to put the plug in, right? That's going to be a temporary thing for now, make sure everything else is working. Is that the case? I know they took it out for the video. You don't know if they put it back. I did.
They were supposed to. We've been, like I said, we had to get the truck in there, and I didn't get to confirm that. And I just want to check that that's the water's coming from that direction.
Okay.
But yes, they were supposed to. So I assumed it's in place.
Okay. All right. So if that's in place, then at least we can kind of rule out anything on 8th Street on the outflow coming in. But you're telling me that you're thinking, like I wrote to you, that I thought that the liner for the outfall section at 8th was in, whatever is in there, whether it's concrete or liner or what, but it looked like it was in pretty good the shape, but you're not necessarily highlighting that there's any problem with the shape of it. It's more that the size is smaller than you'd like now. If for some reason it's shrunk in size through some sort of construction work in the past, and so you think it's smaller. So if that's the case, what are you thinking of doing to make it larger? Are we ripping up the whole tube?
I don't think we can rip up homes, but I just wanted, if it was larger, where did it get smaller? Do we have an opportunity to make it bigger? I need to figure that out.
Okay.
And I haven't, they recommended we replace these pipes based on what they saw and analyzed, but we can get more information if we're questioning. Or
Okay.
they can pinpoint like why, and tell us why these pipes need to be relined.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely got the impression when I was talking to the video guys on 8th Street, basically from, I guess, the beginning of the outfall section, which is right outside the front of my house, to up to Frank's house, that area, the guy was telling me all the joints were leaking. There's also these little, he kind of commented, there's these little places on the tops of each pipe. That's where they lift the pipes. When they put them in, they crane them in and out. And I guess there's some piece there that can break and can fall apart. And he said they're leaking from there too.
Yeah.
So there's multiple places that he said it was leaking from, but whatever. We'll deal with that with the lining thing when that gets coming around. So, okay. I would understand that. And so, and I think I got that idea from Kim's questions that you got it, your rough timing on 9th Street was a week or two type of thing, or something like that. Is that the time frame we're talking about? Something like less than a month or something, we get 9th Street checked out?
I get, like, I looked at the update email from Gemini today, and I responded with the instructions to 9th Street, and asked if we could give it to them tomorrow. So I gotta get that response, but I hope to give it to them tomorrow and then meet with them this week, to get that over on.
Okay, all right, and then pretty soon after that, like you said, you think we're gonna be able to pull off most of these in a few weeks, maybe a month or 2 or 3, something like that. Okay. All right, I think that was my questions. Thank you.
I have a comment on the schedule, which is, I think this has gone for so long now. People are getting so disappointed, is a nice word to say, with the repairs, all of these various streets. I think that it would be probably in your best interest, city manager, to formulate a tentative schedule and publish it so that everyone can go to the website and go, oh, okay, he's at least planning on attacking my street in the next 2 weeks, something like that. And then that way, we at least look like we are accountable for what's going on throughout the city, especially with the record heat and impending doom that seems to be the upcoming, or the current hurricane season. So I would greatly appreciate that. Do we have any?
Yeah, I align with that too. That's a great idea. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions or comments for the city manager? Yes, sir, Vice Mayor.
So Kim, I may have misunderstood. If I did, I apologize. But I just wanted to sum up a couple of things that may make it more clear. So let's use 12th and 13th Street. This is like 2 minutes. 12th and 13th Street as an example. When you start having problems, and step 1 is the video to see what everything looks like underground. So step 2, if you, let's assume the decision was made that, hey, these pipes need to be replaced, they're not working properly. So you can open cut, which is typically the most cost effective. Where you come in, tear up the streets, open cut, take the pipes out, replace them. That's going to last for a very long time. However, when you get to the end of the street, where you're taking the outfall pipe, maybe the last 50, 60 feet, you're on somebody's property. So typically you don't want to tear up their yard or walls or whatever the case may be. So that's where you look at other options like cured in place pipe. There's various types of those you can do. You could, as Councilmember Becker talked about, a pipe inside a pipe. Now you're going to lose some volume with that. So there's different approaches you can use. But the reason it's only used there is because you can't open cut that. You're not going to cut through somebody's yard or home or wall. So that's where that comes into play. So that just kind of sums up the different progression that you go through and why the cured in place pipe comes into play. So I just wanted to try to clear that up if that was something that was But my real statement has to do, or question has to do with Ninth Street pump design. And I think, Colin, you mentioned that we had a bid review meeting on Friday, and nobody attended. But my question is, in our bid information, is that considered a mandatory pre-bid?
It's a non-mandatory.
Not mandatory, okay. But we still had nobody show up. Yeah, right. A lot of times, organizations will use a mandatory, and therefore the only firms that can bid on the project are in fact those construction companies that attended, period. There's value in that sometimes to know who's participating, but, you know, it's kind of a smaller project, so having it not be mandatory is probably a good choice. But it's not a good sign if nobody shows up.
We were thinking of our addendum, but offer another improvement.
Sure.
as well.
Okay. All right, just want to make sure that was mandatory, so, thank you.
Councilmember Baker, you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to comment on what Mr. Roberts was saying about using the scope. The problem with these pipes, you can put a scope in the pipe, but you don't know what's underneath the pipe. So if it's groundwater coming up, there's intrusion coming, where's that intrusion coming from and how much of that intrusion is underneath those pipes? So even if you put a liner in there, or the pipes will eventually just sink. And you may have to pull it all straight apart. I don't know, I mean, water is a disaster when it gets underneath those pipes. It just eats away, and then you get the trucks going up and down the street, and bang, they crack. I don't know if this, I don't know what the answer is unless you want to dig around those pipes, a couple joints, and see what's underneath those pipes. That might probably be the only way to really find out what we're up against.
I think eventually we're going to have to face the fact that we're going to have to ask people for help on properties that are on seawalls. Eventually, that's where
And I was told when I wanted to live in the street before I got on council, I was told we'd have to go through some Lake Shore. That wasn't the case after I looked at the plans. We didn't have to go through Lake Shore. And I don't know if we'd have to go through a lot of people's yards. I'd have to look at all the blueprints, but nearly 7th and 8th Street could have been lifted and done right. But again, we took the cheaper way out.
All right, any other questions or comments for the city manager?
One quick.
You're out of time. Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah. Councilmember, I appreciate the summary and the explanation there. My comment about the easements, however, would be that if we need to, we'll do it because it benefits the city as a whole. And if we have an easement right to encroach and deal with it, you know, that's something that we have to do. And I understand the sensitivity toward individual property holders. The other question I had was about the company that did a major presentation to us about 1.5 years ago regarding the pumps themselves. Have we had any communication with them?
I talked to the salesman, which was Bill Miller. He reached out after I posted the bid, because he follows it. So, he reached out if we had any questions. I told him what we're up to. We're proposing with our addendum that the city, that the contractor, when he gets awarded the bid, lets the city pay for the order of the valve, because we do get a better price. The government to buy it directly. So ideally that we would pay for it, and then from there the contractor would pick it up and install.
But do we will be hearing from them with a proposal?
They've already given us their proposal for the pump that we were proposing in our construction of the pump station.
Oh, okay.
So they're aware of that pump. They have it. They confirmed with build time.
So I'm a little confused. So if we had no responses, but they were a response?
So they responded by when I posted the bid. He just gave me a call and saw that we advertised. We had no response. No one showed to our pre-bid meeting. In the past, we had 3 with law for any project. So we don't get very many, but it is a little concerning because you want somebody interested.
Thank you.
All right, last chance. Ready to move on? All right, next up is the city clerk report. Kathy, how you doing?
Good.
What's going on?
Well, I have it all in my report. I have nothing more to add unless you have questions.
Questions for the city clerk? Comments?
How you make it out?
It's been a busy few weeks. We're good.
All right, we had the Big C meeting. We hosted the Big C meeting on Wednesday, and it was a huge success, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
And, I appreciate everything you and the city manager did to pull it all together. I'm sure others were involved also, but thank you for feeding everyone well. What about this Miami conference? Is that coming up, or have you already gone?
I just went a couple weeks ago.
Well, how was that? We'd like to hear about it.
It was nice. I was able to network with a lot of the clerks here in Florida. We had Randy was there, and he did a session on public records. So that was interesting to sit through. So a lot of good information. Good time.
All right, any questions or comments for the city clerk? No? All right, well, I guess you're off the hook for this
Okay.
one. All right, now we are on to citizen comments. We purposely put citizen comments behind the city manager's report because we knew he had a lot of information. So if there are any questions that were not addressed by the city manager, now's the time to come up and be heard. Remember that any topic that you would like to discuss cannot be an agenda item. So everything else is all yours. Would anyone like to speak? Yes, please come on up, introduce yourself, and try to keep it to 3 minutes.
I think I know most of you. I'm Cheryl Gray from 118 9th Street. And a lot of the discussion today has been about 9th Street. And I want to thank Kyle. He was kind enough in his busy day today to meet with me for a few minutes just to go over where we are related to the check valve. I did send to each of you a request that I personally and some of the other individuals on 9th Street are requesting related to the flooding. And, you know, it's not puddling on 9th Street. We are having flooding in the lawns, in our driveways, and you all, City Council has been aware of this for at least two years, and 18 months ago you approved the study. And what I'm asking today is that we make 9th Street a high priority. I understand, based on Kyle's discussion, that we are going to put the same check valve back in place. Now, according to the study that the report that our engineers provided, those check valves don't do the job. And they won't do the job on going forward either. Now, having said that, the last several months have been worse than I have ever seen in the 30 years that I've lived here. The flooding has gone 2/3 of the way up the street, even when we just have high tide. No storm, just significant high tides. That is not being responsible to us as citizens. I understand that you all have so much on your plate right now, but I do want to emphasize that this isn't north versus south. This isn't us wanting something special. We just want to have a safe environment to live in. We want to protect our property, and I do ask that we continue to put the existing check valve in, but also we were looking at upgrading the check valve, and that discussion has sort of disappeared, and I'm wondering why we're not upgrading that check valve. And there are comments, in the engineering study that says that, our current check valve doesn't open when tide is below 2.3 feet. that's not very, we've got to do something. And I just ask that you consider doing more if you can.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? All right. Citizen comments are now closed. We're going to go back to the city manager follow-up. Mr. Reefer, would you like to address any of the citizen comments or any comments made by council members?
I just wanted to, or talk about the upgrade. I think that was, the other valve that it was going to be different, is going to be the one at the swale. But we're confident that the LaPro inline valve that we're using throughout the city is the best valve. So if we want to put back the same valve, now obviously if it was deteriorated, it wasn't in good condition, we could get a new one. But we do believe that those are the best valve for that situation.
And the reason why we're seeing record flooding or more flooding than usual is because there's currently no check valve. Is that correct?
There is no check valve.
Okay, and that is a priority, just so everyone knows that is a high priority, and that will be the first one installed out of the 5 or 6 that are missing. All right, going back to citizen council comments or questions for the city manager, real quick. No? All right. All right, now we are on to the consent agenda items 9 and 10. This is for approval of the July 7th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes and nomination in support for the Big C election of Madeira Beach Mayor Anne Marie Brooks as Fort Pinellas Beach Community's representative for a 2-year term. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion. Motion is made by Frank Baker. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Harper. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes. All right, now we are on to the regular agenda, item number 11. This is for consideration of resolution 2025-05. Mr. Trask, would you please read the resolution and give us a brief summary?
So thank you, Mayor. This is resolution 2025-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, approving the fiscal year 2025-2026 a non-ad valorem assessment role for the Bellevue Estates Island Assessment Area, directing the certification of the assessment role to the Pinellas County Tax Collector and providing an effective date. This is an annual resolution, evidently, that the city has adopted, which sets that ad valorem assessment rule. It is set out in attachment to the resolution itself. It specifically lists parcel ID numbers and the annual installment due. This is a direct result of the work that was done in Bellevue Estates for the undergrounding of the electrical, cable, and communications utilities that took place a number of years ago. You'll also remember that there was evidently a bond issue for this work of about $1.6 million. And that bond was validated in a circuit court case that took place in May of 2018. So this is just a matter of, in my mind, a formality that you must go through to move the ad valorem assessment rule approval ahead.
Thank you, Tom. Just curious, how many more years do we have to do this?
That's 2038.
2038. Okay, I can do the math. All right, well, let's go to the citizens for comments. Would any citizen like to comment on this resolution? Seeing as we have none, citizen comments are now closed. Council, I need a motion to approve resolution 2025-05.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilmember Elliott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Roberts. Councilmember Elliott, you have the floor.
As our council has stated, this is kind of a necessary thing. The activity is already in play, the money's already spent, so I think we need to approve.
Any other comments? No? I will say I'm very proud that we did this, and it's our neighborhood that's paying for this. This is not a citywide tax or anything, but as far as the island goes, we're very proud of that project and happy to pay it every year. All right, any other comments? If not, Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Frank Bankert,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimberly Shaw Elliott,
Yes.
Councilmember Todd Harper,
Yes.
Councilmember Anders Wellings,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lloyd Roberts,
Yes.
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Yes, and so resolution 2025-05 passes unanimously. Thanks for putting that together. All right, now we are on to item number 12, which is consideration of resolution 2025-06.
So Mayor, council members, this is resolution 2025-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Bel Air Beach, Florida, adopting the 2025 Pinellas County Local Mitigation Strategy, LMS plan, making the local mitigation strategy plan function as the City of Bel Air Beach's floodplain management plan and establish an effective date. And just as some background, this plan was created through a number of cities and with the help of the Pinellas County officials. The plan is a plan that is reviewed every 5 years. You remember that you've adopted this plan previously, or a plan previously, 2010, 2015, 20 and 2020. This obviously is 2025, a 5-year plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about it, but it does require adoption to make sure that you're part of this strategy plan.
Thank you, Mr. Trask. Before we go to the council, let's go to the citizens. Would anyone like to comment on this resolution? Nope. All right. Citizen comments are now closed. Council, I need a motion to approve resolution 2025-06.
So moved.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Roberts. Is that a second? Second. All right, second by Councilmember Harper. Vice Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is very similar in structure to the last one we just approved. It's every 5 years, it's a formality, and there's no reason not to proceed with this. So I just say we're ready to vote.
Thank you very much. Any other comments?
I have a question. If I may have a copy of the plan, a soft copy electronic, and was the plan consulted as we reviewed some of the projects that we have in play right now regarding flood mitigation?
So the city manager answered the questions relative to whether the city was consulted. It's my understanding that the city was consulted. But how would you want to have it?
You're asking if the city was consulted on?
If we reviewed the plan in the
Yes,
context of the projects that we have.
We participate almost monthly in the LMS. Any grant application that gets submitted, the LMS has to weigh in for approval. So it's an ongoing group. So we rank projects that other cities have too, and there's a scoring system. But everything that for the HMGP grant and the other FEMA grant, I can't remember the name of it, but you have to have the LMS approve your project or else you don't go. So you kind of need to participate.
I've got a copy of the summary. I'll just hand it down to you.
All right. Any other discussion? No? All right. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bankert,
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott,
Yes.
Councilmember Harper,
Yes.
Councilmember Wellings,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Mayor Gaddis.
Yes. So resolution 2025-06 passes unanimously, and thank you for your work on that, everyone. All right. Now we are on to item number 13, which is consider authorizing the city manager to execute the fiscal year 2025-26 contract for law enforcement services in the amount of $651,096 with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Code enforcement services shall be on an as-needed basis at the rate of $63.73 per hour. Mr. Riefler, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
So this contract is pretty similar to contracts we've had in the previous years. They sent it with the track changes, so you could follow along where those changes were made. The good news was the increase to law enforcement was $16,000 to the contract this year, which would only represent a 2.6% increase. In the past years, we've seen closer to 7%. And each time the sheriff has confirmed that the cost that is being shared across all municipalities in the county, and he's raising it to reflect that. And then the code enforcement, that did go up at 8%. I'm not sure what the influencing factor on that, but our code enforcement did go up. And it's an hourly rate, and it's essentially started code enforcement with Pinellas County Sheriffs. We started at 20 hours a week, and it's always been on an as needed basis, written into the contract. And currently, we're operating at 16 hours per week, and we plan to budget 16 hours per week throughout fiscal year 2026.
All right. Before we move forward, let's go to the citizens for comments. Would anyone like to speak on this topic? Oh, come on. All right. Well, in that case, citizen comments are now closed. Council, I'm going to need a motion to authorize the city manager to move forward with this contract.
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilmember Elliott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Roberts. Councilmember Elliott, you have the floor.
Obviously, law enforcement is an essential service. It's one that we cannot do without, and I frankly have been very, very pleased with the services of our sheriff in that capacity. They show a very high degree of professionalism. They're nice people. They're good to talk to. I think they've got a very good feel for our city. The only alternative is for us to go on our own, which I think is just a very, very poor decision. We get highly trained people who go through all sorts of opportunities that the county can provide, and it just makes good sense for us to do this.
All right. Any other comments? Nope. In that case, this is to authorize the city manager to execute the 2025-2026 contract with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office in the amount of $651,096 and code enforcement services at $63.73 per hour. Kathy, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Elliott?
Yes.
Councilmember Harper?
Yes.
Councilmember Wellings?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Roberts?
Yes.
Mayor Gaddis?
Yes. All right. Mr. Riefler, you are authorized to proceed.
Thank you.
We are on our roll. Let's not break it. All right, we're on to item number 14. This is to consider authorizing the city manager to execute an extension and a 5% increase in the amount of $67,000 annually to the Memorandum of Understanding, affectionately known as the MOU, for accounting services with Andrew Tess, CPA, effective October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. Mr. Riefler, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. So Andrew Tess has been operating as our finance, charter. What's the official term? City treasurer, I'm sorry, thank you. So he's been operating as city treasurer since 2020. Our first agreement was a 6-month agreement, and then from there we did an annual agreement that will renew automatically each year, and we're renewing it this year. I just will point out that the original agreement said that each year CPA reserves the right to increase the CPA's fee no less than 3% each year. We've experienced 3% increases across each year until now. This is the first year we're going to experience a 5%. I did not get information on why, but it seemed reasonable for the services. And Andrew Tess, he is our city treasurer, but as you know, Heather Guadagnoli, she works here regularly 2 times a week and prepares all our reports and our budget for us. Yep.
All right, before we move any further, let's go to the citizen for comments. Here's your last citizen comments are now closed. Council, I need a motion to authorize city manager to execute an extension and 5% increase in the amount of $67,000 annually to the memorandum of understanding for accounting services with Andrew Test, CPA. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Roberts. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Harper. Mr. Roberts, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really nothing to add. I think our city manager has expressed the effectiveness of what they do for our city. And I think we're ready to vote.
All right. Any other comments?
Yes, I have a question and a comment. One is, are the services of Heather included in the $67,000?
Yes.
Thank you. And I do have a suggestion for a change in the wording, because when I read this, a 5% increase in the amount of $67,000, it looks like the increase is $67,000. So I might suggest a change in wording to say an increase for a total amount of $67,000.
Yes, the renewal of the MOU provides in the second sentence. First of all, the first sentence says, this letter is to extend the professional relationship described in the MOU commencing October 1, 2025 through September 30, 2026. The second sentence says, for the term of this engagement, the fee will be $67,000. All other terms and conditions will remain as unaltered per our original MOU. So it has been changed in the actual amendment to reflect that the total fee is $67,000.
Okay, very good. So it's just this memorandum that is out of sync with that.
I can assure you, if it's different, whenever I have to sign it, I will sign it.
Very good.
All right. Let's see here. All right. Any other comments? No? All right. Well, this is to authorize the city manager to execute an extension and a 5% increase in a total amount of $67,000 annually, accounting services with Andrew Test CPA. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Mr. Reefer, you are authorized to proceed. All right. Now we are up to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Seeing that no takers, that's closed. Now we are on to city council comments. We're going to start this time with Councilmember Baker and just go in alphabetical order. Vice Mayor Roberts, you don't count.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Regarding Bel Air Shores locking the 3 access gates and the majority of council not going forward with a letter to Bel Air Shores, Mr. Mayor. My 11 years of experience, never were these gates locked until COVID by order of the governor. Then Mayor Bloom ordered them locked during Hurricane Helene, and they stayed locked at night throughout until a letter was sent by a resident, possibly for a lawsuit on this violation. While BS owns the lots on the tax parcel for tax purposes only, they are a trustee of these lots. A trustee's duty is to protect the interests of the beneficiaries, which are the people of Bel Air Beach, east of Gulf Boulevard, not to use the trust for their benefits, as they have done, which I won't give specifics at this time unless asked. Furthermore, while the lots are noted as the owner's name, Bel Air Shores, which no taxes are paid on these lots, the legal description so noted is Bel Air Beach, Unit 1, lots 21, etc. While some on council have said repeatedly about poking the bear, we are a city nearly 40 times bigger than Bel Air Shores, with once 55 homes, now around 45. I further attend many Bel Air Shores meetings. I have not found them in any way accommodating the Bel Air Beach residents. Some comments were by their council members that their property goes into the water, and on the record it was even said that one council member has maps of his property by King George showing his property before the revolution. Other remarks were to install rangefinders on the beach so the deputies patrolling the beach can measure off the distance of the people on the beach and if they are on their property. Well, I witnessed signs on one owner's property stating not to sit on the beach. Residents further went through a fight with them on umbrellas just a few years ago, which they then bent their laws, noting we can use umbrellas on our access areas only while their residents can place umbrellas anywhere they want on the wet sand. To conclude, no resident, when it comes to another city or town violating our state constitutional rights and safety of our residents, should be taking this on themselves. Our strategic plan so notes in section 4-4 to be a good steward, and first goal is for public safety and health. That said, when I witness actions like this against our residents, it's why I think our strategic plan is a total joke. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baker. Up next is Councilmember Elliott.
It is about back to school time, and so I congratulate all the residents that have young children that are returning to school, and I wish them a great year. I'm happy to say that on 9th Street, I think this is the first time that we've had actually 3 residences that are filled with young children, and so it's really great to have them around. Feel like we're in a real neighborhood here, so that's very, very good. As we think about the calendar, I do want to remind everyone, we already know is that the end of September will mark the anniversary of the hurricane. We're still recovering, we're still rebuilding. We wish everyone well with that. We wish everyone some patience as lots of issues are dealt with. And bringing back to the check valve issue, we just have to have those in place at all times. We are without our very first line of defense, and that just has to happen. Thank you all.
Thank you. Councilmember Harper.
I guess the real challenge for the council is just the sheer volume and the number of things that we have to address on a daily or a monthly basis. Some of them are large, some of them are major, some of them are minor. So I just want to comment on the fact that we all have to make priorities and choices as to what we do, how we do it, where we spend the money. And sometimes we will need to come to the residents and ask for additional help, whether that's a matter of easements or assessments or whatever that needs to be. So I would ask that the residents make an extra effort to communicate well with the council so we know what the priorities and the issues are, and recognize that sometimes things just take longer than we want. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Wellings.
Yes, hello, yes. I was, I think to see something from a couple of residents, one of the residents stating that that FWC is preparing to implement a new law to improve vessel accountability and reduce daily vessels. I guess the House passed a bill to allow big counties to set overnight anchoring limitations. Is that something that we're aware of? Maybe it's a question to our legal. Are you aware of that? And I guess the county is going to then start addressing and set some limitations at some point?
I'm not really sure what you're actually talking about. And I am aware, obviously, of the fact that there are currently provisions in Florida statutes dealing with the regulation of vessels. There is specifically a provision in the Florida statute 327.60 that provides that the city cannot, in fact, regulate boats and vessels that are in the intercoastal waterway. There are some exceptions to that. The city doesn't meet any of those exceptions. As for the creation of mooring fields, there is a process to do that too. If that's your question as to whether or not you want to create a mooring field, I can look into that. And
No, I'm not looking at that. I'm just interested. The guy brought it up to me, and it seemed like there's the bill, I guess the House has now allowed, like the county of Pinellas County, that they now will have the right to set some overnight anchoring limitations in these areas. I think that they would include in the area outside our, the boats that we're talking about that are, that are sinking and so on. I was curious, really, and asking if you're aware of that, and it doesn't seem like it's anything that the municipality is going to have control of. The city is not, but it's going to be the county that's going to be able to control that or set something. And just curious if you're aware of anything like that.
no, I'm not.
Okay, I'll forward it to you, and you can let me know of my rocker on that.
Councilmember Wellings, I'll make a comment on that, which is we don't want them to assign a limit over here, because if they do, that means
I know that the check valve and the flooding issues have been a challenge, and there's a lot of confusion around, if the effects that you're seeing on a day-to-day basis are, it might be interpreted as it's not working, well, it turns out the check valve's not in place in that street, or there's just a lot of change going on right now while we're trying to settle the problem. But I believe that the proposals that we have in place that we're working on will address and will help the issue. And then further on, when we get the pump going, that'll address the last step, and will really, I think, significantly solve the problem. So anyway, just hope for some patience, and I know it's been a long run, but I feel like we're on the right track and just trying to do it as fast as we can. And I thank you much, Kyle, for all the work. Kyle's getting down in these sewer holes and putting these things in. It's ridiculous what he's doing. It's insane. So I really appreciate it. Love he's put into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wellings, I have to ask, you're not down in Coco's Crush Bar, are you?
No, I'm over in Jacksonville with my daughter's stuff.
Just checking. All right, next up is Vice Mayor Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I apologize, I forgot the date, the day and time, but I just want to remind everybody, and I know somebody will kick in here, that the county is coming, I believe, to our location to update